Okay, here we go. And looks like we're live on YouTube. Hello, everybody. And we're live on Facebook. We're both live on Facebook on my personal page and Landlord Coach page. And good evening, everybody. It's so good to see you. I'm live from St. Louis, and it's so good to be here. And what an amazing day we've had. I'm here helping my coach here for the Business Vision Workshop, learning some cool things that I can help teach my students about helping them get to their vision. We're working on strictly a business vision, but it's just really cool things. So tonight I want to talk about I put that little blurb on there. If you're looking at this through Facebook, is one of my favorite movies is Office Space, and it's one of the scenes there where Milton is having to basically have to defend his own job. It wasn't Milton. No, it wasn't Milton. It was the other guy, not the swing line stapler guy. But what would you say you do here? And he speaks to the goddamn customers because they're not good with people, right? The engineers are not good with people. But that's kind of what we were talking about today in the coaching session, just because we were talking about different personality styles. And there's different personality types, right? You've got entrepreneurs and you've got the engineering and accounting types, right? And so you've got a visionary trying to work with a numbers person, and they often will compete, right? They'll compete for different ideas. So it's just really interesting to see that dynamic go on when you've got an entrepreneurial type person trying to who has an idea, and then you might have this but person, but we would love to do that, but we can't do that. It's just really interesting watching that dynamic. And if you think of the greats who've got those number two people, right? Like you think of the Steves, right? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak of Apple. They've got they've got that. You got the visionary, and then you've got the implementer, the integrator, which is really a really neat dynamic. And then of course Bill Gates and Steve Wozniak. I think that's what it was. And then Steve Jobs and I don't know, maybe one of you can help me out with that. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about them. I'm really just here to talk about you guys. And for those of you who are considering hiring a coach, and why a coach, what do you need a coach for anyway? That's kind of what the whole point is. What is it you say you do here, coach? And that was one of the things that I've been kind of in my heart about what it was that coaches do. And why it's even important to have somebody like that. What is it that, whether you're in business, whether you're in training, in real estate, whatever it is. Now, I want to make a quick distinction here because I think it's important. I think the word coach has been thrown around so loosely in the world, where you have executive coaches and life coaches and, obviously landlord coaches and things like that. But I think you almost are losing a little bit of the meaning when you're, so that's why I think it was important. Like you often hear of people who refer to themselves as the real estate gurus or whatever that is. And I'm just going to give you my definition. This isn't the truth. It's just my truth. When I look at someone who is basically, who has a product or a tactic to sell you on one idea, one linear idea on how to do a thing, I call that guy a guru, right? Like, so in other words, that's like, if you're looking at a football team, you look at all the entire team. You've got, the blocking coach, you've got the tackling coach, you've got the offensive coach and the defensive coach. You've got all these different coaches, right? And they're really good at one linear type thing. They know all the tactics and strategies around that one linear area, right? Then you've got the head coach who's kind of has to kind of see it all working big picture. Well, in my mind, I think the gurus are those guys who do the individual tactics. Now, I'm not here to tell you that all the individual tactics out there are bad. They just might not be right for you. And I'll give you an example. So I was perusing through Amazon just because I always want to see what's out there, what's relevant. And man, there are hundreds and hundreds of real estate books out there. And it's all across the board. It's how to do wholesale deals, right? It's how to flip properties, which flipping properties right now is so incredibly popular. It's been popular for years, but I think a lot of that is driven from what you're seeing in HGTV, right? You see the flip or flop shows, and all that stuff. So that gets very, very popular. Wholesaling is obviously very popular because you can get into deals without any of your own money, and you're basically doing a double close as you're sitting at a closing table, basically introducing one buyer to the next, and you've really not done anything except put the deal together, which again is brilliant. You've got lease options. You've got, there's hundreds of ways to do real estate deals, and I'm not saying that any one of those is better than the other. I've got my own strategies. People buy only exclusively at tax sales or sheriff sales or anything else. Again, those are all individual tactics that any one of them you could do really, really well with. And there's some people who do all of them, which that just makes my head hurt. But, just the thought of that. But that's why I say from a perspective of comparing a coach to a guru, I really think the gurus are really good at the thing, whatever the thing is, right? Now, they may have an ability to coach you through that thing, but I really think when you're looking at a coach, in my mind, again, this is my truth. This isn't the universal truth. This is just my truth. When you're looking at what a coach does, I think back to the coaches that I had back when I was in high school, or even maybe even in the Marine Corps, my drill instructors, who really were kind of coaches, even though that they just did nothing but scream at you. But they really did. They did some fundamental things, and I want to walk you through that right now. First and foremost, your coach will hold you accountable. I kind of look at a guru as almost like a college professor. That college professor knows that area of what they know, and they know it very well. They may know economics. They know economics very well. Not to say that they don't know other stuff, but they know their line of economics really well, or that class of accounting that they're going to teach. They know that very, very well. Now, they obviously teach other classes of accounting and things like that. But I'll be honest with you. When I went to college, when I went to Purdue University, I had professors that did not care at all if I showed up. They just didn't. You could show up or not show up. That's why when you've got freshmen who show up in a class or don't show up in a class, it's harder. You don't have mom and dad breathing over your neck, and all this freedom where if you show up to class or don't show up to class, no one cares, right? No one's going to be beating on your door or dragging you out of bed if you don't show up. So that's where I think the biggest difference, if you want to look at, the difference between a coach and a guru, that the guru would be like the college professor, where the coach is, that's the drill instructor who's going to drag you out of your cot if you're not where you're supposed to be. So that measure of accountability is incredibly important. Now, what are they holding you accountable to? Well, they're holding you accountable to the vision that you've put in place, or said another way, your goals. Now, for those of you who've been following me for a while, vision and goals is very different. But when I say, vision is really your overall where you're trying to go, and the goals are just the intermediate waypoints along the way. When I'm looking at it from that perspective, I think that it's important that you kind of see that where the coach is holding you accountable. That's holding you accountable to what you said was important to you. You said, hey, guy, you said it was more important that you spend more time with your family. So now all of a sudden you're chasing this shiny object over here. And let's face it, real estate is a very distractible type business. But all of a sudden you want to chase this house flipping deal out here that has nothing to do with your vision, and it's going to take a month away from your family. How is that in alignment with your vision? Right? So that's when you're going to get that coach. A good coach is not going to care about being your friend, is not going to be worried about hurting your feelings. Hey, there's Jenny Pooh. Good to see you, lady. There's my bride. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this so I can put a little heart on there for my bride. I miss you. I miss you, sweetheart. But that's, the coach is really going to push you to be better because they want you to be better, because that is what's important to them. And they came to you. A coach is, you've come to the coach. That's what they're going to do. They're going to make you better. So you got accountability, obviously going to be pushing you to be better. There are also some coaches, they will teach you. Now, there are some coaches that don't like to teach. They just, that's not in their tolerance, really, right? They don't have the patience for it. But I rarely have met a coach that doesn't like to teach at all, right? I mean, they're going to teach you some things, but they also don't want to have to reteach you, or many coaches don't want to have to take you from 0 to 1. They don't want to have to do that. But many coaches do end up teaching you something, just like a guru would, right? But the coaches will teach you generally certain things, or maybe also to bounce ideas off of, because not, let's face it, not every idea that we have as entrepreneurs are amazing. There's some ideas that we have that are just not in alignment with our vision, or you just don't see your blind spot, which is yet another thing that a coach can do, is they help you see your blind spots. They check your six. You're walking down and you're like, hey man, follow me. I know this. I'm a visionary. I know where we're going. And meanwhile, you're facing forward and everything else behind you is a disaster, right? Because your integrators, your implementers aren't on the train yet. They're not on the bus yet. And you're just trying to blaze new trails. And all of a sudden, as an entrepreneur, you're like, hey, look at this thing. I'm going this way. And all of a sudden you wanted to make a left turn, right? And that's what a coach will help you do. A coach will help you stay in alignment with what you're trying to do, in alignment with your original vision. And if you want to take a right turn, you're going to have to defend that and make sure that you're defending that well. Because if your coach lets you do it, I don't know. It sounds like your coach is more interested in being your friend and not your coach. All right. That's all I have for tonight. I'm going to go ahead and post this in the comments section. But if you are interested in a basic membership, I'm just going to go ahead and type this in now. It's silly cheap. It's $99 for the year. If you want it just to do $9 a month, that's fine. But if you do $99 for the membership, it is actually get a free month. So I'm going to type that in, and me on group coaching calls and things like that. I'm actually scheduling a group coaching call for next Tuesday. So if you are around, I will be doing that. And it's going to be there are lots of other things that you can go on there. Just go to the Landlord Coach site. It's landlordcoach.com /members. And like I said, I'm going to be putting the link down below. Sorry, I'm trying to type and multitask. And for those of you who know me well, I don't multitask worth a crap. But there it is, landlordcoach.com /members. And you'll see all the basic, but one of the big things that I see on there in terms of the biggest value that people get is access to the preferred vendor list. And right now I'm continuing to grow that with especially people who are looking for private money. Private money is so abundant right now. And there's lots of deals to be had. And I think that if you are looking to get into the real estate game, what I would recommend first, get a coach. It doesn't have to be me. Get a coach. Make sure that you are, you know specifically what it is that you're trying to do. Don't get into an asset class that is going to be horrible for you. It is, you don't want to make that mistake you did and got into an asset class that requires so much more management and so much more oversight that it ends up taking away all of your time. Because they're hard to manage, right? They're just hard to do. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, you want to pick an asset class first that's going to be in alignment with your vision. So that's why it has to follow that VIP method that I talked about in the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0. It's a vision, infrastructure, process. Get your vision clear. Then we'll pick an infrastructure, help you define an class, come up with an acquisition strategy, put the infrastructure together, and then create a business that will deliver that vision for you. So I've got this all posted on YouTube and Facebooks. I am going to sign off. Please remember, if you do not place a value on your free time, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. You guys have a great rest of your evening, and I will see you again very, very soon. Take good care.